Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. The past couple years have been an absolute battle with unnecessary technology causing damage to the planet, artists, workers, and everything else in between. This started, or like the most memorable, intense place that this started was a couple years ago with NFTs. Do you remember NFTs? What a time. That feels like a fucking fever dream, right? Like that was insane. I cannot believe there was this period of time where people were literally paying millions of dollars to just like own a file, and the file was like an image of an ugly, weirdly designed chimpanzee. Like, people were paying millions of dollars for that, for just an image online that anyone could screenshot. But that does, no. But if you screenshot it, you don't own. That was wild. That was ridiculous, really. And obviously, you know, that was a terrible thing because NFTs are just stupid for one thing, and they are terrible for the environment because they burn a lot of energy and sit and take up storage space and are just like completely unnecessary and worthless. It was, however, incredibly funny to watch the fall of NFTs and all these people who spent a fortune on them not being able to get shit for them in return because they died really fast, thank God, because they're fucking stupid. And anyone who lost millions of dollars on an NFT, you deserve it. So stupid. Anyway, that was absurd. And I'm really glad we watched them crash and burn. I'm really glad that like we were able to sort of like come together and talk about and realize how stupid they were and like the negative impacts they were having in a bunch of different ways, and actively did not participate in like supporting companies that were using them, just like avoiding those products and like boycotting those specific companies, artists, whatever. And it worked out really well. Like, when was the last time you heard of an NFT? It's been a while. No one gives a shit anymore. But unfortunately, that cannot be said for the new big thing in advertising and marketing, and that is AI art. Art that is made by artificial intelligence. Art that is made by pulling art from everywhere else and smushing it together to make new art. Because we have reached a massive increase in that. Like, AI art is everywhere. It is used by so many people for so many different purposes. Like, some people are doing it for funsies and calling it art. Like, they're calling themselves artists, which is so funny because all they're doing is sitting at their computer and like typing in words and like trying to type in words to like make a specific image, and they're genuinely like, no, it's really hard, you know, I have to think of the correct words and then like filter through them and pick the one that I think is the prettiest and represents what I want the best. And it's like, you still didn't do anything, bro. You still didn't do anything. And it's like taking all the human emotion out of art, right? Like, the best part of art, the thing that makes art is like that it has intention, it has soul, it has emotion, it was made by a person. That's like the best part of art. And like removing that, it just kind of makes it not art anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it removes the intention and it removes the like passion and the human connection. And like, I don't know why that's something you want. I don't know why that's something you think is desirable and something that people are like awed by or think is like a really cool thing, because it's just sad. And that on top of the fact that the way it is made is it is made by literally stealing art. Like, if you've uploaded art on the internet, it goes into this archive and AI will go through and like learn from it, and it will use your art to create different art, but you didn't consent to that happening. You don't get credit for that. And so it is stealing not only an artist's job, but it is also stealing actual art whilst also being bad for the environment. So there's like literally not a single positive to this other than, anyone can do it. Anyone can also make art. You just have to have time and patience and be willing to learn. Artists aren't born knowing how to paint. They teach themselves, they learn, they practice. If you want to be an artist, you can be an artist. You have the power to do that. If sitting there at your computer typing in prompts takes you half as long as you claim it does, you have enough time to learn how to draw. And obviously, though, it is not just people making AI art for the sake of making AI art. It is being used for a lot of advertising purposes and for a lot of projects so that companies do not have to pay people. It's cheaper to use AI art, obviously. They don't have to pay artists. They don't have to wait the amount of time that it would take to go through the entire process of creating art for something. They just enter a prompt into the computer and they get something, and it never looks very good. Let's be straight up here. AI art, it lacks that soul. It lacks that heart and that care, and it never looks appealing. It's always flat. The imagery can be cool, but it just feels wrong and it feels lazy. Not only are people using this for visual art, but it is also being used for scripts and documents and things like that. Anything now that you type into Microsoft or Google Docs is being sent up and taken for AI bots to learn from, which isn't that fun? Love that. Love that. Artists are having their art stolen. Anyone who writes anything anywhere is having their words stolen. I think we should all come together and just all go onto Microsoft or Drive or whatever and just write a whole bunch of nonsense. If we all just go write a whole bunch of nonsense documents, see how much that fucks up AI. It would have to be a very big team effort, but it could be kind of fun. It could be funny. All this art, it's so disheartening because a place I'm seeing it used so much right now is in music. So much advertising for new songs and new albums is being made with AI. The album cover art, the promotional images, it is so obviously AI, and it is so upsetting because you are an artist. You are an artist and you are refusing to use art to sell your art. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but what the fuck? I lose respect for you if you're using AI to sell anything. But if you are an artist and you aren't even using art for your own art, it tells me that you don't care that much, that the art doesn't really actually mean that much to you. It feels like it is entirely for a monetary gain. You don't want to spend money. You don't want to have any creative help to aid the art that you are putting out there, that your art is more important than any other type. It just sits wrong and it feels icky and disrespectful because it is. You wouldn't appreciate having your songs taken and then cut up and spat out into someone else's song, right? That's not something that you would appreciate. Your voice, your music, that being taken and put somewhere else without any credit, without any acknowledgement, nothing. It's just being used and regurgitated by someone else to promote themselves. You wouldn't appreciate that. And an example of this recently was Kasha put out this art for her new song. And this one's even worse because it's just a pile of bags on the street that say delusional, and they're just boring brown identical handbags that have delusional spray painted on them on the footpath, on the road. And some of them are spelt wrong. Delusional has 2 L's or it's missing an I. It's not even spelt correctly because AI gets their letters and words mixed up all the time. This image would have taken 10 minutes to set up and to take, and it would have maybe cost $200. This would look better even if they were different bags. If you just went to a thrift shop and you bought a pile of bags and spray painted the word delusional on it and threw them out on the street, it would look better than this. It would have cost like $200 max and taken you 10 minutes. But you couldn't even do that. You had to go on the internet to create this. Like, come on. It's just so lazy. And when I see like art like this being used and like this little care and effort being put into advertising something, like I automatically doubt the quality of the product. Like if you are not willing to invest like time and money into the promotion of your product, how good is the product going to be? Like you clearly don't care about it that much. If you won't even go buy some bags and throw them on the street to take a photo of when you have millions of dollars, why? Like you clearly don't care about the song. Why should I care about it? You know, like it just feels lazy and cheap and tacky because it is. And if you are an artist who doesn't respect other artists, I respect you less as well. And it's so disheartening because I love Kasha. I love a lot of her music. I love like, you know, a lot of what she does and who she is. And like, it's just upsetting. And you're seeing it everywhere. It's happening a lot in K-pop, obviously. No one is surprised about that. And it's so disheartening to see that just like everywhere you look, art is being turned into like more and more existing just for capital gain and like not for art itself. Album art is so important and it's like such a like important part of the music itself because it's what draws people in. It's like if you see cool album art, you're more likely to go listen to it. And to just not care, to not be willing to invest anything in it, like, is the song gonna be good? I'm not gonna listen to it because you clearly don't care enough about it to even try. One step worse than that though is AI advertisements being made, like full on like animated. I don't know if you can call it animated if no one actually animated it. It was created by AI, but it is like an animation. Like video advertisements. Like Coca-Cola just did one and it looks terrible. Like this is a terrible terrible ad. It looks bad. It's unappealing. Like everything about it looks cheap and bad. Like let's have a watch. And I can play this whole ad because AI, you can't copyright it. So literally anyone can use this ad, which is hilarious because any of their competing brands can technically use this ad in their ads. Like legally, Coca-Cola don't own this. And that's fucking hilarious. Let's have a watch. Okay, so I retract my earlier statement of it being animated. It wasn't animated. It was trying to be realistic. And I'm just so confused as to who thought this was gonna make a good ad. Just a bunch of animals, like a polar bear, like a moose, and a dog, and some raccoons, literally just like standing there. And then some Coca-Cola trucks driving down the road. That's the ad. It's just animals standing there with some Coca-Cola trucks singing, holidays are coming, holidays are coming, holidays. Like, okay. And this is making me want to buy Coke. How? Where is the advertisement part of this? I honestly feel like it would have been cheaper to just make this ad. Like you make this ad yourself. I with like a puppet and just like going out into your back garden. Like I feel like I could make this in like an hour. And like I just don't understand. Like was it worth saving the money to make an ad so bad that like it's not actually going to appeal to anyone? And like I just do not understand the point at all because Coca-Cola have $270 billion. Like $270 billion and they couldn't afford to pay someone to make a good ad. Like Coca-Cola ads, they have some good ads. They've had very good ads in the past. They've got their like signature ads that are like, you know, it's not like they don't know how to make an ad. But then they do this to what? Save money? As I said, you could make an ad of this quality without using AI for probably the same price. Because I imagine like these big AI companies and the people who put in the inputs and like choose what goes onto it. I don't know how exactly AI works and making shit like this works, but I feel like it's gonna be overpriced. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they're definitely still charging decent money to do this. And considering the amount of props that were necessary for this ad, like it wouldn't have cost much to do it yourself. You could have done a better job. But this is where I like question companies of like, if you have $270 billion, I guess you can afford to fuck around and find out. Like if they're testing the waters to be like, can we make a really shitty ad that we pay no money to? Will this bring in any money or not? Like they can't afford to like put out a bad ad. Like it's just astounding to me that you can care so little about your consumers that you will literally just put out anything as long as it saves you a little bit of money when you have literally $270 billion. Coca-Cola owns fucking everything. They own every drink and they can't afford to pay an animator or actors or a scriptwriter or whoever. Like they can't afford to do that. You know, maybe this is going to lose them customers. Maybe putting out this ad is going to lose them customers, which is great because we are all meant to be boycotting Coca-Cola. They have just been added to the BDS boycott list. I know that a lot of us were boycotting prior anyway, but it is now officially on the BDS boycott list. So avoid Coca-Cola, and not only Coca-Cola, but like all drinks made by Coca-Cola, which is a lot of them. Like check the label of the drink you're buying before you buy it. Like because a lot of like even water is made by Coca-Cola. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Completely understand. Do your best. Avoid Coke if you can, because not only are they a multi-billion-dollar company who refuse to pay their workers and a number one polluter to the planet, but they are also aiding in the genocide in Palestine. So, you know, all the reasons to boycott them. Anyway, we've always known that these companies don't care about people. They don't care about the planet. They don't care about literally anything other than maximizing their profit. Like they will do anything to save $1. They will do anything to make $1. And that includes putting out the worst ad of all time. But it doesn't stop it from feeling incredibly hopeless seeing more and more of these companies do it. Like if big multi-billion-dollar corporations are gonna claim to not be able to afford to pay artists, like it's kind of that thing of like it's validating a lot of smaller companies to say the same. However, a lot of bigger companies are more greedy than smaller companies. So, you know, that's the way it works, right? The more you have, the more you want. And like I said, I find it so interesting that they seem to, like, they're so out of touch with reality and people that they do think that this is going to actually work. And like people are using AI art thinking that people are going to just like completely accept it and go for the product and think, wow, this looks so cool. But like I said, me and a lot of other people just feel like if you are using AI to sell something, that it's going to be a low quality product because it's not worth any investment. We were doing so fine. We were doing so fine before AI art came along. We were doing so fine without it, with making our own advertisements and our own art and not stealing off of others and like further polluting the planet. And like through this cycle and where we are with it now, it's taking work away from people who need it. It's keeping money in the pockets of people who don't. And it is also exploiting millions of people who are working in jobs that are effectively like sweatshops with 8 hours a day teaching things to AI. And they're working in terrible conditions with very little pay in less developed countries where wages are lower and working standards are lower as well. And I think that a lot of people aren't aware that this is something that is happening. You kind of see AI and you're like, oh, artificial intelligence, it teaches itself. It learns from what's already out on the internet. But like, no, people are teaching AI. There are people who have to actively spend hours and hours teaching AI what these things are. And a lot of that is happening in underdeveloped countries where the labor laws are very loose, as we already have so many sweatshops and we've just got a whole new brand of it, where there are people in places like Kenya who are working 8 hours a day, just sitting there like circling things in images, being like, that is a chair, that is a TV, that is a book highlighting like specific like diseases and teaching what different facial features are, etc., etc. There are people that have to teach all of that, and they're working in these horrific conditions for very, very little pay. And it goes even further than that too. Like, AI is not just doing art and like ChatGPT and that sort of thing. Like, AI has to do a lot of filtering for searches. So it is some people's jobs to go through the most horrific shit the internet has to offer and mark it as explicit. It has to mark it as what it is. So there are people who are having to sit there for 8 hours a day watching like graphic violence and pornography to mark it as explicit and say what it is so that it is able to get filtered out. And doing this job is obviously incredibly traumatic. And a lot of people who have this job were like tricked into it. They were lied to about what the job actually was and were told that it was about like helping communities and keeping communities safe, which I mean, technically it is, because it's filtering out like pornography and things from like mainstream internet spaces like on Meta, but it's still a horrifically traumatic thing to be having to do. And there was an interview that happened, and someone who had this job has said that his life has been completely derailed. Like, he cannot have sex with his wife anymore because he is just so traumatized by all of the horrific shit he witnessed while having to watch like pornography for 8 hours a day. And they're watching like incredibly graphic violence as well. And he said that like he can't even hold conversations with people anymore or spend time with his friends because all he wants to do is cry. And they're not provided with proper psychological help. And they're effectively undergoing psychological torture every day. And that's just fucking horrific. But no one ever thinks about that. No one ever really knows that that is going on, but that is going on. That is something that is happening. AI learns from people, and it's not just us. A lot of horrible jobs out there that are taking advantage of people so that our lives are a little bit easier with the use of AI. On top of AI art, something that has really taken over these past couple years, honestly, I didn't realize how long it had been because like time is wild to me, but over the past couple of years is ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT is a tool that you can use for a whole array of things, and I'll acknowledge that like, yeah, some of those things sound like they could be helpful and could help you get through your tasks quicker and in a more efficient manner, but ultimately it has really taken over and become like an incredibly overused tool that people are far too reliant on. A lot of the things that it is used for are writing essays and emails, summarizing documents, and then you can have like a conversation with it and ask it to explain you things and just ask questions. It's supposed to like talk to you like a person. Now, I've never even opened ChatGPT before, so I don't 100% understand how it works and all the things that it can do, because it seems to be able to do just a lot of stuff. But people use it so much. Like, there's a lot of tweets going around recently that is like, I don't know how I lived my life before ChatGPT. Was I just going around like doing things for myself? Was I just like thinking things for myself? And it's so terrifying to see and so disheartening to think about. Like, it's taken over to the point that like, you know, students are using it. Students are not only using it, they are reliant on it. Like, kids in high school are using ChatGPT to do their assignments, and then university students are using it to do their assignments. Like, uni students are using ChatGPT to write their essays. Like, you are paying thousands of dollars a year to like not even participate, and you're getting like a robot to write your essays for you. And like, the most astounding places I've seen that used is that like medical students are using it, which is incredibly alarming. If you are training to be a doctor, please pay attention. Please. Like, I don't think you'll get through med school if you're using ChatGPT, surely. I hope not. But like, please, if you want to be a doctor and you are training to be a doctor or anything in the medical field, please pay attention and do your own assignments. They are given to you for a reason. If you are going to be in charge of someone's like life, I would like you to know what you're doing and to care about it, preferably. But it's also weirdly used by people who are doing like literature degrees and English degrees. Like, there are people in creative writing classes who are using ChatGPT to do their creative writing, and I'm just like, why are you here? You know? If you want to be a writer, maybe you should do your own writing. If you don't like writing and you don't want to write your own assignments, maybe don't be getting a degree in writing and literature. Like, what's going on? Are you okay? Coming on to Twitter, coming online and being like, I don't understand how I functioned without ChatGPT. I don't know what I was doing before. How was I managing to get through life? Is like astounding to me because, like, as I said, I've not used ChatGPT before, and I like can't think of any situation in which I would use it for, because like I enjoy, like, I'm not good at making decisions. I'm not a decision maker. I'm terrible at making decisions. I hate making decisions. But there is something, you know, very human and fulfilling about making decisions and doing things for yourself. And I don't really want to take away that from myself. You know what I mean? Like, doing my work and like writing my videos and like coming up with ideas and stuff like is really difficult sometimes, and it's incredibly emotionally exhausting and it's draining. And like, sure, I would possibly hand over a little bit of that workload to like another person, but I just cannot imagine handing that over to like AI. I don't maybe it's me, but I just like, I don't trust it, you know? Like, it just doesn't feel real. I feel like I need to have like human emotion in there. There needs to be some sort of like connection and understanding, and like there has to be something human in my work and in the things that I do. And it makes me uncomfortable to like remove that element of my life. And like, I don't understand why you would give that away to technology. Like, why you would hand your like autonomy almost like over to something else to make decisions for you and to do everything for you, and just like take away that level of like humanness, you know? Like, this one person tweeted that she got ChatGPT to make her a bunch of manifestation playlists, like manifestation for love and for wealth, and like, I find that so fascinating and so sad, because manifestation, whether you believe in it or not, doesn't matter. That is such a human thing, you know? Like, that is the most human thing, and you're asking AI to make you a playlist for it? Like, what is going on? That's so sad. That's so sad. If you don't want to make your own manifestation playlist, go onto Spotify and search up manifestation, and there are like thousands of them that other people have made. Like, use ones that have had like human emotion put into them. The like whole point of manifestation is that it is like an emotional thing. It's coming from your soul. It is like a part of you. You have to manifest it. That can't be done by something that's not human. You're taking out a very crucial part of the entire process, you know? And like, also, that's such a sad thing to be using AI for in general. Like, making playlists is one of the like small joys in life, you know? Like, that's something that you get to do. That's something you get to go cater a playlist to yourself. You get to go through and go listen to all your favorite songs and like decide which ones work for that particular playlist. You get to go look through other people's and like pick a song that you enjoy that maybe you've never heard before. It's such a like a nice thing to do in your free time. That is like almost like a self-care kind of thing. And especially if you're going to use it for like manifestation purposes, it just makes me sad. That is such a human thing, and you are handing that over to something that is not human. When like you don't even have to, even if you don't want to do it, you don't have to hand it over to a not human. Like, other people have already done this for you. You can go look at that. It is there. It is free. It doesn't take very much time. And it's so much better because someone actually put like thought and love into that. Creating and learning and making decisions it's what makes us human. It's what makes life so special and so beautiful, is that like we have these experiences and we have choices and we get to like do things and experience things, and handing that over to something that like doesn't experience anything it's just sad, you know? Like, why would you remove all the things that make life beautiful and give it to something that isn't alive, you know? There's a lot of kids who are like now growing up with this. There are kids in like intermediate high school who are using ChatGPT who like this is normal for. And I worry about like them, about teenagers, about kids. If they're reliant on it now, like how are they going to be as adults? Like in every way of like working for themselves, like using their own thoughts, making their own decisions, developing like human relationships and connections, like having that interaction with people in the world around them, like if they are learning everything through AI and completing all their work through like ChatGPT and the likes, like it's genuinely very concerning. And I know that not everyone is using it, obviously, but there are a lot of people who are, and there are a lot of people who are going to be very negatively impacted by that. And I know a lot of people are saying like, it's a tool, we just have to learn to adapt and grow with the tools. And I'm like, yes, but it's not being used as a tool. It's being used as something people are like overly reliant on. You know, there's a difference between using something to like aid you and using something to like replace you, you know? I don't really understand the purpose. Like I've gone my entire life without this shit and I don't need it now. I have no intention of using it now. I think that we're at a pretty terrible point in capitalism and in climate change to which like, this is the last thing we need. This is the last thing we need right now. So I'm gonna stand over here and continue to be very against it in pretty much all of its forms. There's like a few useful things that AI can do, maybe. But like overall, I'm like keeping away from it as much as possible. And like I was talking about this the other day, I've been saying this for forever. I already know that I am going to be that old person who just refuses to update with technology. Like I just refuse. It's not for me. I'm sorry. There are some hard lines that I draw with technology. I understand old people now who don't like phones. Like I get it because there are some hard lines that I have as well. Like self-driving cars, I'm never getting into one of those. You cannot make me. I am going to be an old lady and everyone's going to be in their self-driving cars and I'm going to be there with my own little like old I drive it myself car and people are going to be like, Grandma, why won't you drive our car? Why are you so weird and out of date? No one drives their own car anymore. And I'll be like, back in my day, I'm not driving one of those death machines. You know, like that'll be me. With AI as well. Like there's some things hard lines. I refuse. I feel like I could have gone into a bit more conversation, a bit more detail, and maybe I will do another video about ChatGPT and whatever at a later point, but this is all I wanted to say today. For now, this is where I am going to leave it. So thank you so much for watching. A massive thank you to my Sprout and above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. I appreciate you greatly. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Bobby, Ikazel, Ellie, Chris, Samuel, Knitting Menace, Radsack, Lady Nutbar, Mr. Noodle, Ella, River, and Phenomenally. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone else would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, and then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, that Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes.